Dear students, good morning. Welcome to La Excellence IAS. Let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 14 September 2020. The first article for discussion is In LAC Talks from Peace to Conflict Prevention. So, in this article, we need to understand few things. One is evolution of various border agreements between India and China. We have seen that Defense Minister, External Affairs Minister, everyone stated that China has violated various bilateral agreements which came into being over years of effort. So, we need to understand them and remember them for the examination. And later, we also have to see challenges in their implementation or why they have failed. So, what are the major agreements between these two countries? The first is agreement on the maintenance of peace and tranquility along the line of actual control. It is the first agreement which came up in 1993 during Rajiv Gandhi era. It has formalized the LAC concept and also agreed that there are different perceptions on both the sides with respect to line of actual control. It also created military and diplomatic experts for resolution of differences. The next is the both the sides, that is China and India, eschewed use of force. They also have restricted military activities and exercises along the line of actual control. So both the countries will not have knee-jerk reaction for the things on the border. Military forces are also to be reduced on LOAC. In this case, this is the most failed part on both the sides. Both the sides have increased the deployments on line of actual control rather than reducing them. And then mutual ceilings, the maximum numbers which are supposed to be maintained are also not taken seriously by both the sides. If I have to say in 1993, the biggest failure of this agreement is to reduce the militaries on either side of line of actual control. In 1996, confidence building measures CBMs along LAC has come up. According to this, forces shall be kept to minimum. The second, deployment of major armaments like tanks, artilleries, and missiles shall be reduced to mutually agreed levels. And again, if you see, whatever we spoke in the first, that is, military shall be reduced to minimum, is also continued in 1996 agreement. And the third thing, few protocols are created. These are protocols or modalities for implementation of confidence building measures in military field along LAC. In this, outlines of the procedure are adopted when both the soldiers come face to face on LAC. This normally happens during the patrolling. And during Manmohan Singh era, we have Border Defense Cooperation Agreement, and it is said to be a game changer. In this, jointly combat smuggling by both the militaries and no tailing of the patrols, etc., are being stated. These are the four major agreements, bilateral agreements for cooperation across the border that exists between India and China. And border resolution at the political level, we have other agreements which have been signed. We are not getting into that particular discussion. We are focusing entirely on the agreements on border defense cooperation or confidence building measures across the border. What are the major issues? As I said to you before, reducing the forces to minimal, which could have been a great confidence building measure, is not taken seriously by both the sides. We do not know about China, but let us see the side of India. India has developed two new divisions and also mountain strike corps to safeguard the line of actual control. And Chinese has deployments many a times higher than India. And second, line of actual control has many different perceptions and these could have been resolved over years. And the discussions which are been prolonged is always going to complicate the matter. So these are the points the author is talking about. The next article for discussion is Exploiting the Chinese Exit. Here we need to understand that China has a great sensor wall the Great Wall of China, Censor Wall of China, to exclude outside companies, internet giants to enter and access the data of Chinese citizens. China, being a communist country, always feared of these big giants for changing the public opinion against the communist regime. So, this particular censorship has worked in favor of China in the long run. It is not just strategically worked for it but also economically. And China wanted to take up a change in its manufacturing sector and also industrialization. It wants to move towards high tech instrumentation and also industrial revolution 4.0. It means rather than low cost manufacturing, it wants to go for high cost value addition in the manufacturing sector. And it is where artificial intelligence, machine learning kind of technologies are going to be very helpful. So, this kind of sensor has made China to become a global giant in artificial intelligence. Though it has started with copycat programs of Google, etc., today it has got its own algorithms, it has got its own database and other related things in this particular sector. Second, if we see Indian industry, we have lost in the race of artificial intelligence in the emerging technologies. We were very good in becoming a services sector giants after 1990s, but post 2010, when a change is happening in the services sector, especially artificial intelligence, India appears to be lost the race to China. In this case, the major reason is the mindset. Indians wants to serve rich Western nations through their technologies and like to be an outsourcing offices to them. In this case, developing technology for Indians, Indian market, ensuring problem solving through technology, and focusing on other developing countries such as Africa, in Asia, etc., can provide for a great revival for Indian IT sector. This is what we need to remember. The second chair. So, this article, if you carefully observe, we need to understand the word called common ground. In politics, this common ground is very much important. Today, the biggest challenge in India is the loss of common ground between political parties. Whenever there was a national crisis, the political parties used to meet at this common ground to discuss the ideas and to act in collective national interest. Today, there is a standoff going on at LAC. And among the various intellectuals, elites, etc., we don't see a common ground. And we don't see a common ground in politics on various serious issues of economic crisis and also defense issues. So, the deputy speaker position in parliament is also a discussion where we are missing this common ground. As per the convention over years, deputy speaker position is offered to the opposition by the ruling party. The reason is the parliament is supposed to be a neutral space, and in this case, speaker and deputy speaker have to be from two different coalitions or political parties can ensure that neutrality. Today, government do not is not willing to offer deputy speaker to the opposition. The justification made by the government is its majority in Lok Sabha. So we need to remember that when Congress had its heydays and Congress had huge majority in Lok Sabha for that matter during Rajiv Gandhi era, still the deputy speaker was offered to the opposition. So conventions are important and having a common ground between the political parties is in the national interest and the ruling regime has to respect that. Long haul ahead. IIP figures for June were released. It appears that manufacturing contracted by 10.4%. Obviously, it is lot of jobs and wealth in the country. So, how to revive that and what is the problem with the existing packages announced by the government? The government is focusing more on supply side, and supply side changes will not affect the economy till the demand is revived. So government's major focus has to be now improving the consumption demand. In this case, festive season is upcoming and it can be a good opportunity for the government to keep money in the hands of the people so that demand can be created in the economy. The next is reducing India's cancer burden. India's cancer burden is increased by 2.6 times over 10 years, or else I'll put as 16 years. And the death has increased by 2 times. In this case, as per the SDG goals, India has to reduce its cancer deaths by one third. So, what are the major risk factors for the cancer? Why they are growing? One is tobacco, alcohol, changing lifestyles, obesity, and sedentary habits, food habits, pollution. All these are the reasons for growing incidence of cancer in India. What shall be our strategy to reduce the cancer? First is risk reduction. Ensure healthy, good life habits. Second, early detection. What shall we do? Screen the people for the cancer as early as possible. Let us take cervical cancer of women. It can be screened with various smears as early as 25 years of age. And the third, mammary, that is breast cancer, can be screened for the high risk individuals. So the screening structure in healthcare system, if it is improved, early detection of cancer is treatable. And finally, providing for a strong programmatic structure and resources for cancer diagnosis and treatment. All these can be helpful. So let us also recollect what all the programs which are there in India to fight cancer. One is to identify the cancer patients and to predict the various types of cancers and their incidence or disease burden of the cancer. We have National Cancer Registry Program. Next, National Tobacco Control Program and National Program for Prevention and Control of Cancer, Diabetes and Cardiovascular Disease and Stroke. These all are there. And then is inclusivity in thinking. Remember this word. In any healthcare issue, what we need in India is inclusivity in thinking. Make sure that every person in this country gets benefited and equitable distribution of healthcare benefits to all. This is what is inclusivity in thinking. That is the word you need to remember for your exam. The next is monsoon session set for stormy start. In midst of COVID-19, question hour is cancelled and also sessions are truncated. Government wanted to focus on conduct of business. Anyhow, 0 hour is going to continue. What are the issues that are expected to come out for discussion? One is ongoing standoff with China. The second is farm ordinances. Ordinances are agriculture, especially agricultural marketing, and then minimum support prices. All these things will be discussed. Opposition majorly opines that these bills are going to affect small and marginal farmers and benefit contract and corporate farming. Second, MSPs and tweaking the MSPs will affect the food security in India. And next, cooperative banks, government intends to bring them under RBI regulatory supervision. In that case, cooperatives are part of the state list and cooperative banks are ideally supposed to be managed by state governments, regulated by state governments. Bringing them under RBI and regulatory supervision of the center may violate the federal ideas. Finally, Prime Minister Cares Fund. It has become controversial because they do not come under the scope of Right to Information Act and also under CAG's audit. So, PM Cares Fund and its constitutionality is also expected to be discussed. Status quo on LAC after Jaishankar-Wang meeting. There is a freeze on all activity and movement along LAC in Ladakh after External Affairs Ministers meeting at sidelines of Shanghai Cooperation Organization meetings. So, as of now, we have certain, what do we call it as, low activity on this border, but the tensions are not out yet. So these are the articles for discussion. This is Dr. Rambabu signing off. I just want to make one announcement to the students. Continuity is more important. And Miss Geeta Shankar, I have my all trust on her. Why I am saying this? I never saw a woman who is so dedicated to her work, and her classes are exceptionally good. First, you need to focus on understanding them, because once you get habituated to a particular voice, you expect to listen to the same voice. Please get on to the diversity of teaching. The reason is one person maintaining the schedule for throughout the year, then it is very difficult. You may have health issues, you may be traveling, or you may have to focus on your family. There are many other issues, or I have to manage an institute, I have to take classes, and I have other interests to look after. So in this case, weekly once or twice Geeta ma'am is expected to take classes, Geeta ma'am or Malleshwari ma'am, and you need to be adaptive and respect them first. And I want to say you this, if I have to delegate some work, the first person who comes in mind is Geeta ma'am, and she ensures every project goes as per the time and schedule. And our classes have got, especially her structuring of program of rapid revision, it has got applause across the section of the students. And quality rapid revision program which she handled is extremely successful in La Excellence. So that's why start respecting the new teacher too. Thank you and all the best. This is Dr. Rambabu signing off for La Excellence.